So on what premise do we come to the decision that we have the right, the moral right, or the opportunity to teach somebody to plan his life out for the next 25 years? On what is the moral ground do we have? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. So what is the moral or biblical ground that we could actually tell somebody that you could plan your life out for the next 25 years? For the normal life that we are all living, and for normal human being, that is strange a little bit. That's a bit odd. That's, for example, I was teaching one time here, just a few weeks ago, a few months ago, on how to know God and be a friend of God. And someone wrote a letter and actually challenged somebody who was following me, and wrote the person and said, be careful with that man. He could be a new age guy. Pastor Sunday could be new age. Why? Because he said it is possible to know God. He wants to teach you how to know God. So he must have lost it. He's in error. He's either in error or he's in new age. Because I'm teaching people to know God. See how our people are so backward. This is how much damage has been done to people's psyche. To say that somebody who is telling you that you could know your father is lost it, or is in a cult. So Christianity is not supposed. You are not supposed to know your daddy. In Christianity, you are not supposed to know your father anymore. What is left of Christianity after that? If you are not going to know God and you are not going to know our Father, the very basic prayer in Christianity, our Father, who is all about getting to know my Father. So if you remove that from Christianity, what is left? Dry, empty religion, lifeless religion. So that is supposed to even be very apparent, very, very clear and evident to everybody that everybody's got to know their Father. But when I now come with such a title, like I'm talking about now, how to plan, structure, and achieve your life goes. Your life goes. You have reached a prayer, and your life goes for the next 25 years. I'm sure for a lot of religious guys who say they are Christians, but they don't really understand God, and they don't know what really knowing God is about. If to them it's complicated to try to know God, then to now say you can plan somebody else's life or teach them to plan their life for the next 25 years, that will just look like a blasphemy to them. So I've got to start with that. So that's what I'm going to start with today. Okay, for you, those of you who are thinking that this is strange, how could that possibly be possible? Or they will say you are a motivational speaker, or you are, it's not spiritual. You are just talking intellectual. So this is all, that's why it's going to be tough for you to find anybody who will teach the topic I'm going to teach today. And for the people who want to know more about this topic that I'm teaching today, and I'm starting this topic by talking about the life principle of life is predictable. That's my topic for tonight. And that's what I'm starting the HMT with. And, but there's only one topic that we could start the HMT with that is better than this. And that is what Pastor Clement already did on time. But I am starting my own segment by talking about life and the predictability of life. So there are two books that are the basis for this teaching that I'm doing. So please, Galena, look out for the books. Number one, the book is called Life is Predictable. You show them, please. And the second book is called The Greatest Secret of Life, or whatever. The greatest secret, Life's Greatest Secret. Life's Greatest Secret. So 2 books. Number 1 book, Life is Predictable. I'm sure you people are reading it. Okay, that is the one I wrote in Russian language, and now I translated it to English. But I wrote that book maybe about 10 years ago. Yeah, but this other book, Life's Greatest Secret, is the one I wrote in English, and I just wrote it last year. So it's a more complete and comprehensive one. But the two of them are good because the first one I wrote, I was writing for Christians. That life is predictable. It's more like, scriptural based, Bible based for Christian, for people who like, to quote. You didn't quote the scripture. But this other one, I wrote it for everybody, for the secular world and everybody. So Life's Greatest Secret. So the two of them. Did you find the second book? Life is Predictable? Okay, you have it there somewhere? So those two books, Life's Greatest Secret and Life is Predictable. Those two books, yeah. So you cannot pass. Okay, come this way. Yeah. So this is the second book here. Life is Predictable. That's what it's called. Alongside the one you have on the screen. The one you have on the screen is called Life's Greatest Secret, and this one is called Life is Predictable. Yeah, these are because what I'm going to be talking about today is a whole book, 2 books, but I'm just going to be talking for 2 hours. So that's nothing, right? The amount of time I'm going to be talking is nothing, but I'm going to give you the basic principles. So, and also I have a whole playlist for people who are on my YouTube page, who are subscribers to my YouTube page. I have a whole playlist that is called Life. I think Life is Predictable. Yeah, Life is Predictable or something. Yeah. So you could also go and look for that playlist. So it's a week-long, maybe 14 messages. Yeah, 2 weeks long teachings, 14 videos on Life is Predictable. But I'm just going to do 2 hours to give you the basic. So why is it that I'm starting with this topic? Because for me to tell you, and you have to know about this, that this is not a fantasy. It is not, of course, a fallacy. So if it's not a fantasy that your life could be put in order, just like you could put your clothes in order and hang them in your closet, the same way you could get your life together, arrange your life in order, just like you arrange things in your bag when you're about to travel. You could get your life from the world of abstract and abstraction into the world of reality and concrete reality. That's important because most people live in that world of abstract. So life to them is abstract, it's a mirage, it's an illusion, just as their own life too. So everything about life, in regards to life, what life is illusionary. So they don't see it as something that could be planned, put together, and with a certain date that you will exactly know what to expect with your life, and you will know exactly what you'll be doing for the next 25 years and the goals you will be attaining. Stuff, profound stuff. But before I jump right into that, the technicality of it, you must first of all know the philosophy behind it. You must first of all know the worldview that we are coming from. You must first of all know the scriptural basis for it. You must first of all understand the ideology of it. So once you get the worldview, the paradigm of it, the ideology of it, you have the concept spelled out to you, then it will be easier, much more easier to now go to the practicality. And that will be, so for today, so this particular teaching, and then tomorrow is all going to be gradually drawing you into getting you yourself convinced about the topic, what we're about to do. Before maybe day after tomorrow, I go fully into, or maybe tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, no, we go to church tomorrow, sorry. Because, so tomorrow is off because we are going to church tomorrow. But maybe by Monday or Tuesday, and Monday I go to court. So one of these days I'm going to get into it fully, and then we are going to to show you the practicality of how you can do it. But when Pastor Clement was talking, he also mentioned that you could actually use time to make sure you plan your life for your life to keep on benefiting the world. I don't know, he said it in such a good way. I can't remember the way he put it. That you can use time and manipulate time or calculate time in such a way that when you are dead, your life is still beneficial. That's exactly what we are talking about. So when I say 25 years, I was actually being modest. I was trying to not to scare you too much. Because, for example, my own life plan that I'm working on now is 300 years. I'm living 300 years down the road. And I'm planning for 300 years for this lifetime. Even if I die now, I'm putting structures for me to live for the next 300 years. That's what my whole idea is about. But for people who that might be too shocking for them, well, at least let's do the one where you'll be here. Let's start from 25 years while you might still be alive. So let's teach you how to even use the time where you are here. Talk less of how to now use the time where you will not be here. So, the first lesson today is going to be titled "Life is Predictable." Life is predictable. Okay, here we go. Life is predictable. That's the topic. Can you show my topic on the screen? Yeah. Life is predictable. All right. The laws that govern life is what we are going to be talking about. So for us to say life is predictable, that is the premise or the basis for which we have that confidence, is that we know that life is governed by laws. That is our whole secret. We understand that life is governed by laws, and I'm happy that Tokwe is here. Brother Tokwe, I needed you to be here because I've tried my best to let him understand that I'm not special, I'm not unique. Everything that I've done, everybody can do it, but he keeps on trying to convince me that I think you are anointed, or I think yeah, God shows you. Or he has some words, he has them in his vocabulary, many of them, trying to convince me at the end of the day that it's because I was chosen, or God must have had some more favor on me than on everybody else. But I'm trying to tell him the opposite, that no, it's because I know something about life. And that's what I'm starting with today. I'm starting by letting you know that the reason I know that your life too could be predictable, and that you could predict your life for the next 25 years, is because I know something about life. So what is that thing that I know about life? That life is based and is governed by laws. Life is governed by laws. It's based on fixed laws. So it's important for you to note that word fixed. So life is based and governed by fixed laws. Is it material either you know them or you don't know them? So you might know these laws or you might not know them. But life is based on fixed laws and governed by fixed laws. That's why those two books are important. So, to know these laws, there are two ways we can know them. The two ways we can know these laws are, one, by knowing the mind of God, because God is the author of these laws, the laws of life and the laws of creation. So if we know the mind of God, we might be able to discover these laws, the fixed laws upon which the earth is fixed or governed. Number two way that we could use by which we could know these laws is by studying creation, the handiworks of God, what God already created. So when we study and research nature, we discover their laws. That is exactly why we have what we call education. Education is an attempt to understand the laws that govern life. That's the whole essence of education. The reason why you are studying engineering is for you to discover the laws behind the laws of motion and thermodynamics. The reason why you are studying economics is to know the laws behind economic activities. So education, the whole essence of education is to discover these fixed laws. Okay, for example, the reason why you went to school in the first place is because you needed to be literate. So let's take literacy as at the very minimum primitive understanding of literacy. Literacy is the ability to read and write. That's the basic definition of it. So that's why you go to school, to learn to read and write. Now, why do they know? How do they know that school gives you this ability to be literate? How did they know that school, going to school, will afford you the skills, will get the skills? Because they have discovered that being able to read and write is a skill. How did they discover that? Through discovering laws. So once the law is discovered, then literacy becomes a possibility for everybody. So what is the law behind literacy? The law behind literacy, that is ability to read and write, is called the law. When this was possible when they discovered the law of alphabets. Alphabets. You know, all of you know what alphabets are. Do you know right now when we talk about alphabet, you all think that alphabet, that's a primitive thing. It's always been there. No, alphabet has not always been there. There were people who lived on this world and never before alphabets were discovered. And when they lived before alphabets were discovered, they thought it impossible that anybody will ever be able to read or write. So that's why writing had to be invented, as well as reading. So a whole generation of people lived in this world thinking that it's impossible to write anything down or to read it. Even after alphabet have been discovered, yet for a long time, even up to like 1,000 years ago, but in different continents, up to even 100 years ago, 200 years ago, in a lot of continents and a lot of countries, even up to today, they still see literacy as a gift of God, as something that you have to be gifted to be able to read and write. It means God has to have selected you and gifted you. So in most part of the world, that's where they come up with this idea of village teachers. Because that village teacher is normally the only literate person in that village. Not just in Africa, it used to be the same in Europe here. One person in the whole village that can read and write. So everybody prays to him. They almost sacrifice to him. Because then they give him bribe and give him money so that he will take care of their children and make sure that he teaches them literacy as well. So this is the way the world used to be. Because they had not discovered, maybe in some parts, maybe it has been discovered, but to that village it has not gotten there to them to know that literacy that guy had, the ability to read and write, is just a law. Once that law is mastered, anybody from any tribe, from any village, from anywhere can master it and read and learn to read and write anything. So for example, I and you will be able to go to China and learn the Chinese language. Why? Because of the law of alphabet. So law makes things possible. So that law of alphabet, for example, that is invented and is everywhere in the world, will make an African man to go to China and speak Chinese, to come to Russia and write. When you read Russian, when you see Russian letters here, as you have been here now, and you see some things written in Russian language, how do they appear to you? Like rubbish, gibberish, like it's never going to be possible for you to read it, right? But that is so long as you don't know the law of alphabet. Once you take your time and, like Pastor Clement said, and use the currency of time to buy that literacy, you exchange time for that skill to acquire that skill of being able to read, of alphabet, you will discover very fast that it's easy. You too could not just only read, but even write Russian language because of one law. So let's use that now as that example now to apply to all of life. That is what it means that life is based on fixed laws. The same thing with medicine. If Dr. Clement that spoke to you today could become a medical doctor, needless to know, could become a medical doctor coming from a village in Nigeria, and he's a medical doctor just because he went through medical school. What does medical school give him? They give him the knowledge of the fixed laws in medicine. Once you understand those fixed laws, you'll be able to give diagnosis, and you'll be able to procure solutions and treatments and prescribe medications and bring healing to people. Why? Because he had learned the laws. So now, do you think it is only Clement that could go through that same process and become a doctor? Anybody that wants. Why? Because it's a fixed law. Life is based on fixed laws like that. In every other way. If it is, for example, engineering, anybody that just has interest could also go through a process of learning those fixed laws. Once he has mastered those fixed laws, he too becomes an engineer, begins to understand and fix motion, mechanical motions. Because it just needs to, only one thing you need to know in life, that for the whole of life is based on everything in life. All of life is based on fixed laws and processes, fixed laws and rules and principles. So, for example, let's say Oral Roberts was able to walk in the miraculous and became an evangelist, a healing evangelist. And those days, when he was the healing evangelist in America, people used to think that you have to be called. Even up to now, some people are thinking like that. You have to be called to do that. But now, if you really read the Bible and you read some whatever, when you get to know who you are in Christ, you will discover that anyone that believes could actually bring about healing. You don't have to be called Oral Roberts. Why? Because there is a fixed law. What is the law here? Jesus said, "He that believes in my name shall lay hands on the sick." God said. You discover what Oral Roberts discovered. Can we build a church? For example, you know, I was listening to a speech or a message that was given by Pastor Adeboye one time. And he said, when he became the general overseer of Redeemed Church, that all of Africans, all of them, and I listened to Kubu, he also said the same thing, all of them used to think that mega church, big church, a church of 1 million people, or 500,000 people, 10,000 people, even 10,000, they were just thinking about 10,000 that time, that is not possible in Africa. It's only white people that can do it. God, because they used to think God has called the white people, he has given them the anointing to do it. They didn't know. So they used to travel from Nigeria. He used to, Pastor Dewe was saying this, with his general overseer that was still alive. They used to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma to get the anointing. To look for the anointing. So that they will also be able to gather a crowd like this, 10,000 people. And they used to think that can God do this? They are putting the responsibility on God. Can God do this in Africa or not? Until he discovered Yongisho. Then got all his books, learned the methods and the laws. Same thing with Kumuyi, with all of them. They got the strategy together. They got the laws. And all of them started building. Anybody could do it. Not just Africans can do it. Now they have beaten the Americans to the game. Now Americans are now thinking it is only Africans that can do it. These are the way religious people think. They make everything, they put it on God. God has anointed only Africans to do it, or Americans to do it. They make it spiritual. They take it out of the orders of God. And the order of God is that everything is created and put to function and operate under certain fixed laws. If anybody could do it, it means somebody has discovered those laws. The same way, if anybody could ever read or write, that person has discovered some law. But those days, they used to call them what? They used to say, these are teachers from God. God gave them to them. Like doctors from law. What is the name of the author of medicine? What do you call them? Hepatric, or what do you call him? Hippocrates. Hypocrite. This hypocrite, for example, during his time, everybody used to think that, in fact, they think he's a god. Now, some people still used to think it's a god, the goddess, or some god of somewhere, because they used to think that it is the gods that give you that knowledge. The same thing people used to read and write. People, primitive people around them, you think that the gods gave him that knowledge. But why am I taking my time to talk about this? Because my people in Africa and Christians, and even out of Africa, are still thinking like this. They are not aware that life is predictable, and they are not aware that life is already based on fixed laws. So my people, they are neglecting the fact that these are laws that answer for things when it comes to life. Otherwise, God would not be fair. It will not be a just God. It will not be a fair God. It will be a partial God. And even some pastors like Adeboye, for example, will say God is partial. He's partial to me only. And you are supposed to be the slaves. I'm the one who is the favorite. So people will still keep on thinking like that, even if you don't say it. But you will still keep on thinking like that as long as you don't know that life is predictable. You will be living in mysteries and in illusions, abandoning and neglecting laid out rules, then looking for mirage. That's how your life will look like. So, for example, I just spoke about something very mundane, like profane, like dressing today. Very, very profane. But even that has rules behind it. That's just what I shared with you today. Everything has rules behind them. The earth God made it like this. It doesn't matter either you are aware of the laws or you are not aware of the laws. When people were not aware of the laws of literacy, Did God change? What? It's just you didn't know. Right now, very soon, in heaven, let me tell you something about heaven. And there are two things I'm waiting for me to know that Jesus will come back soon. When man will not need to talk before you understand his thoughts. Because that is how heaven functions. Yeah. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. In heaven, you don't need to open, you don't need your mouth to talk. Even though you have your mouth too, you can use it to talk if you want. But just your thoughts is just being birthed in your mind. Some other person understand what you're thinking. Yeah. So it's the earth that makes us to require mouth to talk. But in the heavenly realm, you just communicate like that. You don't have the limitation of the body. But one day we are going to get there on this earth. We are going to build a technology that you could just, because we have the limitation of the body, so you will need to wear something or, connect somehow. Maybe you have to have a remote something like this in your pocket, or that is connected to your veins of your mind, and then the other person has to have a receiver. So as long as the thought is coming to you, you're just thinking, and you are getting this. Once we are able to do that, that's an invention, by the way, somebody can come up with. But this is how we come up with inventions. So once I know that this is a possibility, this is a thought, I begin to now go and build technology and mechanism to make it happen. But some people are already working on it, I suppose. So once that happens, I know that the kingdom of God is coming, so Jesus is coming. The second one, which is also a possibility in heaven, that is not yet a possibility here, is those are the two things I'm waiting for to know that Jesus is coming. Once we are able to transfer our thoughts, and number two, once we are able to transfer ourselves, teletransportation. So once I could get to America without using a plane, which might never happen, but if that happens, that will mean that the kingdom of God is here, because that's what is happening in heaven. Heaven, you don't need to get a plane. You just need to think of getting to America and you're already there. So if human evolution will get there, these are laws. These are just discovering laws. So these things are already in heaven. Okay, for example, just like you are looking at your iPad now, you can put on that iPad, like this person I was calling, who was resolving the problem of, the person is in Dominican Republic on holidays. I tried to leave the person here in Ukraine. The person is not there, but I got the person in 5 minutes in outside the country. Then the person got the president, got people involved to resolve this up in 5 minutes. So it is technology that somebody could be here and in Dominican Republic, the next generation, and just resolve, talk and be seeing each other and talk, Before, nobody thought that was possible. But those things were already possible in heaven. Mm-hmm. Those things are just being discovered by us here on the earth. Mm-hmm. Life is predictable. So, but when you now get to a place where things that are already been discovered, you, because of spirituality, you are still, groping in the dark out of your own choice because you are not discovering laws. It's an insult. So the underdevelopment in Africa is an insult to my intelligence. And we are going to fix it. If God will give me long life, you will see. I'm not going to Nigeria to build church. If necessary, I'm going to help people build their church if they want, if they need my help. But it's too small for me, an assignment. What is challenging me to go back to Africa is that Africa is an open sore. And it's an abuse and an assault to my intelligence that the world will be where it is right now. And I will be alive, and I will know how to get things fixed, and Africa will be where it is. We are going to fix Africa in general, not just church life. I'm just doing church now because everything starts from the spirit realm. So, but when I get back home, we are going to get Africa to work. We are going to, not being a politician, but we are going to get all these things to work. Because people are making everything look as if it is rocket science. Because people don't operate by principles that life is predictable. For example, in my country, Nigeria today, I am supporting the presidency of Buhari because he's doing something. that the other people who were there before him, they didn't do 16 years. Okay. But when I myself, crediting them and praising them, what do I praise them for? I am praising them that they are building roads, they are building railway, something. They are, just making some little infrastructure. But if I'm going to critique their actions, for me, that's not an achievement, really. But unfortunately, even the other young ones that are coming, they don't even know what I'm talking about. They are going to be trying to do the same thing, which is not an achievement. Because for me, even if you are building 1,000 roads at one time in Nigeria right now, that will still not be an achievement for me. If you are building railway station, airport everywhere, it's still not an achievement for me. So what is going to be an achievement for me? An achievement for me is going to be when we are building 1,000 roads and there is no one single Chinese or American or German there. I don't care. I don't want you to be paying money, to be taking oil money, our money, to go and give to a Chinese company to come and build you a road. Are you silly? Because we are not taught, and we are graduating graduates every year from engineering, because we have not, the way our people study is not to know how things work. It's just to work and get salary for it. It's just to know how to fix stuff, not to how to create them, because they don't know the fundamental principles behind all these things. So we have graduates, but who are just looking for jobs. Okay, for example, doctors. We have Nigerian doctors everywhere, but I'm not impressed by that, because they're just going to manage process, to run processes of giving diagnosis and something. But I want doctors that will go and create healthcare system, hospital system that is unique to Africa. But they don't create, our doctors don't create hospitals. They just go and get a job. But because our own fundamental mistake we are making is that we don't know what is behind the things that are happening. So we don't know the fundamental rule of life, which is everything in life is based on laws. I don't care that why should you go and get engineers to come and build? When British people in Britain are fixing their roads, do they go and get Americans to come and build it for them? In Ukraine here, when they are building roads or bridge or anything, they don't get anybody from anywhere. No. Okay, they are saying we are going to start our own airlines, and all those airlines you have to go to Airbus to buy them, or wherever, Boeing to buy them. I'm not impressed by that. Even though I would still say, at least thank God you are doing something compared to the ones who are there for 17 years and 16 years and they didn't do anything. But that's still rubbish for me. For me, I'm going there to make sure that no, we are building our own planes, not giving money to buy something what somebody has done. What I want to get to in Africa is to a place whereby we are the root of it. We know how everything works. So when I'm talking about life is predictable, and this principle I'm giving to you right now is for you to know why everything functions the way they function. It's not what we do in school and what you do in school. They go and get you, they give you information and what is this? Why is, but they don't tell you why and how. How does that work that way? Why did that come to that end? So for example, people will be excited that we're able to build put computer in schools. I don't want to just be excited by that. It's good, but for me that is primitive. That is an insult for me. It's an open sore for me. It's a disgrace for me. I want to say all these computers, we built it in this school. Every school build their own computers, as many as they need. Do you know that if my own church here, I have somebody that we don't buy computers. We assemble computers all our own. We don't, just somebody in my own church here. We build our own computers that we need for our services. And my own whole country is buying them. And we have schools. Anyway, don't let me go there. Anyway, but we are getting the whole point that I'm making. That when I'm talking about life is predictable, this is about life. So all those rubbish that churches are doing in Africa, making people to think that God is everything. you are insulting my God. You are insulting God's intelligence, because you are making my God look wicked. You are making my God look heartless. You are making my God look as if he's, it lacks empathy. It lacks sympathy. So we have to be begging from morning till night. But this God, if you don't know, he is so smart. He's so considerate. He's so good. Before he even thought of creating you, he had created everything to function for your good. Mm-hmm. That's why you, as a man, has to come last on the seventh day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It makes sure that all laws were in place for you. All creation, everything needed for you to function, everything. You don't need to pray, so that you would never need to pray for him to come and emergency, come and help you out and do something here. No, he had fixed everything. Just like he fixed the sun, he fixed that before you were even created. Just like he fixed the moon, he fixed that before you were even created. Just like he fixed the oxygen and the atmospheric something, he fixed laws. He put all that to function perfectly before he even sent you here. This is our God, your God, my God. This is how he is. He is not saying he will do something by 10% of something, or 50 or 90%, and then when you are in trouble, you call upon him. You'll be always coming for emergency deliverance. We don't know God, and we have not been taught who God is and who his nature, what his nature is. They have distorted by God. Religion has distorted God. But this God, on the other hand, he perfects everything before he even now say you come, and it makes it's just like a groom that is so highly responsible that he has made everything ready, prepared everything. The house, he bought the house, he got the room, he got the plates, he got the cutleries, he got the rug, he got the fan, he got the fridge, he got everything. He prepared it because he knows he's bringing a bride home. This is exactly how God functions. You cannot be smarter. That groom cannot be smarter than God. Cannot be better than God. Cannot be more constricted than God. Cannot be kinder than God. He cannot have more empathy than God. So if that lady, if that bride will now refuse to go to the kitchen and open the drawer where the cutleries are, he will now refuse to go to the kitchen where the gas or wherever the cooker is, and she will just say, I want to pray, I want to call my father, my mother, or my husband from want to come and do. Everything is ready, my dear. The fridge is full of something, everything is ready. Just stand up, go and fix it. That's exactly an analogy of what God has done for us. Would there be some emergency intervention sometimes? Maybe. But first of all, at least use everything that is already available to you here. And that's why it's important to know that this God, the way he made that provision for all of us, is through fixed laws and principles. Never forget that. That's why that book, where is that book? Life's Greatest Secret. Life's Greatest Secret. That's what is written in that book. Comprehensive, explained. Life's greatest secret. If you know that, education will make sense. Profession will make sense. Life will make sense. People will make sense. Love will make sense. Relationship will make sense. Everything will get a new, different dimension and understanding. So that is where we must start to resolve our problems from. that the reason why life is predictable, and this is why your 25 years forward is also predictable, because it's laws. What we are going to do is just to discover certain laws that governs future and productivity. And once we discover the laws that govern future and productivity, then we could arrange everything. Come out of mysticism. Come out of the mystery and mystic understanding of life that, like I said in the beginning, that we always look at life as mysterious, as something, something mirage, like a mirage that's life is just, no. When you know that life is based on laws, you come out of mystery, out of illusion of life, and you come into the concreteness of life that could be based on laws, and you're going to see the laws. Laws are going to make life tangible and concrete, and then you are going to put your own on that scale of those laws, and then you are going to put the puzzles in the right place, making your own life predictable. But when I'm looking at most of you, I'm almost feeling that most of you are supposed to have known this at least all your Christian life, maybe 10 years, 20 years you've been a Christian. But you have been a Christian in church somewhere, thinking you believe in God, and then not putting God's order in your own life. Not making your life productive by His rule of that God, this same God has put in place. Not using His wisdom, His principles, and His resources that He had made available to you to work for your good. Mainly because we have not been taught, I think, and maybe we're too religious, or religion has taken us away from the mind of God, put us and locked us up into religion. So we now think if we do the prescriptions of religion, we pray, we read the Bible, we don't understand anything about God, but we just do religious activities, that we are good. But we are not effective, and we are not productive. We are not pleasing God, we are not doing what He wants, we are not justifying the life and the years He's giving us every day. We are not justifying anything, because we are like that bride that has everything in the home and still crying that she needs help. So let me go back to that my note. So now, do you now understand this topic a little bit differently now? Yes. It's a serious topic. Okay, life is predictable is the topic. Now, the next statement, you will also understand them better now, I hope, that the laws that govern life, that's what makes life predictable. That everything in life is based on laws. Why is it that, I see you use glasses. Why is it that you are still using glasses? Very simple. There are some things that the doctors have not discovered about optical laws. So the best they could come up with right now is to give you an external assistance. But inside, the research is not finished yet into the nature of human optical. By the time we will get there one day, you will not need to use it. Why is it that people still die of cancer? The research is not finished yet about the laws that are responsible for the metastasis that are in cancer. Once the research we do, that's the essence of education, to discover laws. So you don't get education to go to get a job. You don't go to get education to get salary. It's an insult on God and on education. You get education to be able to discover laws and be able to operate and bring solutions and live the best of life. So life becomes predictable when we discover the laws upon which a particular part, a segment of life is functions. Just like some people discover the laws of medicine and become doctors. It doesn't matter what background, rich, poor, white, black. If you can just discover the laws, you become a doctor. You can just go through the laws in the engineering, you become an engineer. But you see, you could finish engineering school or medical school and you just know the basic things. And if you don't know the deeper laws, you will not be able to resolve deeper issues. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people graduate. You can just get a job, but you didn't get to the root why you went to that school, which is laws. Behind everything that operates in that area. When you don't get to that root, you just have a paper in your hand. Mm-hmm. Maybe you get a job. You'll be doing something, subsidiary things. But you are not you don't control the world. Because the understanding of the laws is what makes you to control the world, to rule that world, to be on top of it, of life. Because you got to the root of it. And you can explain it. So when I'm talking, for example, I talk to people about going to Nigeria, and that I'm going to Nigeria to resolve Nigeria's problem. People don't know where I'm coming from. Some people will say he's proud. Some people will say it's I'm saying. Some people will say, just all kind of accusations I get because we are coming from different places. I know what I know. What can I do? I can try to help you and tell you about it, but I know what I know. And this is how we are going to approach resolving the problems of Nigeria. If God will have mercy upon Nigeria and He will help me to get to Nigeria, I'm not going to repair Nigeria. I had two plans. One is to repair Nigeria. One is to replace Nigeria. So what we are going to do, we are going to do something in Nigeria that will make the very least where we are going to be will be where the top countries, the most developed countries, that's where we are going to bring Nigeria as the starting point. That's the kind of thing we want to do. So we are going to use this principle of knowing the laws that govern the earth and life. And that starts by either understanding, I told you there are two ways to do it. Either by understanding the mind of God, or tell me the second one. I didn't write the second one. Huh?
By studying creation, the laws.
Yes, by studying the laws of creation. What God already created, or who has already attained that success, or who had already done something. So our starting point in Nigeria, in the greatest, in the new Nigeria, and the beautiful Nigeria, is going to be from our starting point is going to be what somebody else has already done. If anybody has already done anything, either it's in technology, that is going to be our starting point in Nigeria. Because we are not going to play catch up, because we can never catch up.